remember the first time I interviewed you?
Yes.
Do you remember what happened?
No.
Oh, really? So you were so gracious to come on. This must have been back in 2020.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got in touch, but you said yes. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I got Jesus on my show. And I interviewed you over Skype.
Yes.
And I was like so grateful. And at the end, I realized you were muted the entire time. So it was just me reacting to you like, uh-huh. And I'm like, I don't know what to do now. I hate myself. I know. So I reached out to you because I had to tell you because I thought you'd be waiting for the clip to release and I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen. So I said, I am so sorry. And I cannot believe you came back on my show. We did it again. Yeah, if I were you and
Fantastic.
You were me, I would not come back on your show. So thank you.
Well, I just think, what would Jesus do? And yeah, there was no alternative. They had no other course.
And then you recorded a little video for my kids.
Yes, that's right.
That's awesome.
I remember that. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I find I need to rely on people to like remind me of the last several years because they've been so insane. It's been so overwhelming at times. And I've met so many people and I've shown up so many places and I kind of have relegated a lot of the experiences that I've had to like being moments that when I get to see people again, it's like, hey, there's this thing. Remember this that happened, and I had, because I think my brain just doesn't know what to do with all of it. You know, I think it's because it's attached a lot of the times to like these experiences and these interactions afterward. Like if I show up at a conference and then I meet a bunch of people that pour their heart out to me and tell me like what's been going on in their lives and how my work has affected them. It just is like, it puts me into a different mode where all of a sudden I think my brain has to just shut down or just kind of portion away moments of like, solitude for myself to be able to, just kind of function. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, what makes sense is that what you're sharing cannot make sense to most people.
Yeah.
Because you're going through something that no one really goes through, like very few people go through. It's very unnatural.
Yes.
So it must be difficult for you to try to convey the chaos and insanity of the whole thing, because it must seem to people, well, he's complaining, but why would he complain? Like he's this big movie star, do you know? But I can't imagine what that would be like. I mean, I go to an airport and I usually see one or two people who listen to the show.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you must walk through airports. So do you not use airports? Or
No.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that kind of thing happens to people that are, well, I would imagine like if The Rock walked through the airport, he wouldn't get anywhere, and that's why you don't see The Rock in the airport.
And he's so big, he can't just cover his face up. Everyone knows who that is.
He just can't put a wig and glasses on.
Right.
I tend to travel with an assistant or a friend, or in some cases like extra security, depending on what airport I'm in.
Yeah.
There are places where I can just walk completely unnoticed. I just, if I'm wearing a cap or some sunglasses or something like that, like the major metropolitan cities, the East Coast, the coastal cities like Los Angeles or New York, I can fly in and out of there. And if I get hit up by a couple of people, that'd be a lot, which is why I don't mind going there and just kind of, being on my own. And then other places like where we film The Chosen, I mean, those states in general, they have such a high awareness of who we are, and people know in the communities that we're there when we're filming, and so we're more in their consciousness on the daily, so that when we do show up, it's like they're I think in some ways at some points they're kind of looking, or they're just keenly aware of when one of us shows up, especially me being essentially the face of Jesus for this now globally popular TV show. So it's It's been interesting.
When you were given the role,
Yeah.
did you have any idea that it would become as big as it has? And if not, at what point were you like, oh, wow, this just hit next level?
I think it was when I first went to meet Pope Francis in 2021. The show had been popular, like started to get globally popular for about a year. During the pandemic, we released the show for free as a sort of a gesture to kind of, commit to peace and comfort and reducing the anxiety that everyone was feeling. And so we just kind of gave the show away. And that actually, the show blew up after we gave it away for free.
Was
And
it the first season, or
that was season 1.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had previously charged $15 for access to season 1. And then with the pandemic, we made it free. And then from that point, we said, well, we're going to just make it free forever on the app. And then now you can find it on subscription services like Amazon and Peacock and Netflix and stuff like that. But that was when I went to meet Pope Francis in July of 2021. After, it was one of his Wednesday audiences, and after the audience got out, we had a couple of interviews, like right there in the square, and quickly it filled up to the point where we had people like pushing people away with the car pull up, and I kind of felt like,
they were pushing Pope Francis out of the way to
kind
get
of
to
pushing
you.
Pope Francis, like, Papa Francesco, get
Wow.
out of the way.
Wow.
And so that was the first moment where it was like, oh,
What's happening?
This is actually something now. And like, you always kind of hope as an actor, you hope for the kind of global success that a project has, because then it means hopefully more opportunities, or, you can afford to feed yourself consistently and things like that. But you're never guaranteed of anything. And when it happens with this show, and then the character of Jesus, it's a whole other, I imagine it. I don't know what celebrity was like prior to playing Jesus, so I don't have anything else to compare it to, but I'm pretty certain, talking to other celebrities, that it's a different experience than what most people experience. Not better or worse, but it's just different. People have a different connection. There's a different engagement. There's a different encounter that happens when you meet a fan, because it's usually a loaded encounter, where there's something that they want to say, or that they need to tell you, or how their lives have been affected in some way. So it's been a blessing, but it's also like, okay, this can be heavy. It can feel heavy at times. But
Have you chatted with Jim Caviezel about the burden of this, and has that been someone you've been able to be like, how do you process this? How do you live?
I met Jim once about a year ago, and we talked a little bit. Like I tried to, I think, get more of a straightforward, like, how do I do this? And I think Jim's response has been, his experience rather was so intense in so
He's
many
an
different
intense guy.
Yeah, he's an intense guy, and for so many different reasons, and then subsequent to how it affected his career after that, that I don't think there was a straightforward answer from him.
It's like, good luck.
To try. Yeah, it's like, let's talk about Jesus. I said, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So I've never, and I think there's been, I've wondered, I've always sought some kind of a mentor in this space to kind of handle this, the burden of celebrity, which it can be. And I've never really found one. I've had people who have come into my life as friends that have been mentors, but the thing that I've been looking for, like whenever I've asked specific questions of other actors, it's never quite happened.
It doesn't land. Their
No.
advice doesn't kind of connect with your experience, or
I think it's a combination of that, or it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like nobody gives you a handbook on how to do celebrity,
Yeah.
And I think I'm just meant to grow through the experience by figuring it out on my own. But if anybody asks me some of the practical stuff, like, what do you do in an airport?
Yeah.
What do you do in the grocery store? I'm like, oh, well, this is what I do. You know, it just seems like like I would share that with somebody who might be going through that, because it's if you're a bit of an introvert like I am, I'm more an introvert than an extrovert. It's you just want to protect yourself, you know, so that you can have everything you need for the gig itself, for the job itself, for the art itself, you know, that you're not so frazzled and spent and exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that you can't pour yourself into your character.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.